panic attack. The coronavirus has unleashed a wave of panic across the country.
The threat is very significant.
Definitely, it is a public health emergency.
And as the market's reaction to the outbreak causes concern for many of us overseas, the situation there is already very serious.
Well, airlines have already suspended flights to the hotspots.
Cancellations of major events.
There are now over 80,000 cases of the coronavirus.
More than 50 countries have confirmed cases of the new coronavirus.
Now, remains a major concern on Wall Street. The Dow lost 256 points Friday. 1/4 of its population under quarantine.
The coronavirus is impacting sports teams and leagues around the world.
Has raised its alert to the highest level.
And quarantines in a handful of states.
Of a big spike in deaths.
Overnight announced a massive shutdown across the country as it struggles to cope with coronavirus.
First of all, good evening, everybody. And before we start, a very quick announcement for the hundreds and the thousands who are inquiring about my personal health. Then even though I try to keep things personal, which is very difficult to keep things personal, but I owe to many very quick report of what's going on. So Baruch Hashem, I'm much better, but the recovery is not so easy. It's still hard. It's still very, very hard to do things. I still experience a lot of pain and weakness, and I have a few good days, a few bad days. Like I mentioned before, the recovery can take 6 to 12 months. That's at least what the doctors are saying. After all, only 4 months has passed. But Baruch Hashem, I'm doing much better, but not good enough to really come out full force. Everything is hard. Even if I talk for an hour, I don't know how this class will go tonight, but we'll see. Last time that I spoke, it took me 2 days to recuperate. Mainly because I think it's the breathing, talking and not concentrating on the breathing, and my main problem is my lungs, which is extremely interesting how now, with all that's going on with the coronavirus hitting the lungs, that's where my weakness is. But Baruch Hashem, Hashem is doing wonders and miracles. I feel much better, even though I have many days that I barely get out of bed from weakness and pain, but Baruch Hashem, much better, and I will take the opportunity to thank the thousands of people who are still praying for my health. There are still many Tehillim groups and many people who are praying and dedicating classes and many other things, so I will take the opportunity to thank everybody for whatever they're doing. And Bezal Hashem, I know Hashem has put me in quarantine to be in my home. There's a reason for that. Bezal Hashem, it will be over very soon. And the Yetzer Hara is very unhappy now before Mashiach is coming. He needs to put as many big players in the back row. So he's making sure that I'm not out in the front line right now. But okay, we'll give him a few more weeks to enjoy. And then Bezal Hashem, Hashem is always making miracles. I'm sure there will be another miracle here. I want to quickly dedicate the class to the elevation of the soul of Jacqueline Chaya Esther Bat Shmuel. Her yahrzeit is in Shushan Purim. May Hashem bless her neshama to have an aliyah. And also refuah shlema for, I'm hoping I'm not going to butcher the name, Rachel Bat Tavos, and Mahari Bat Tavos. If I butchered the name, I'm sorry, Hashem knows who I'm talking about, but they should have a refuah shlema, and Klal Yisrael, everybody who needs a refuah shlema, should have a refuah shlema. We all need refuah, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, the healing of our soul, the healing of our body. Klal Yisrael, the entire Am Yisrael should have a refuah shlema. And we may bemet experience already the full and complete redemption. Now, I've been away, so to say, for so long that many people were contacting us, asking when I'm going to start teaching, how long is it going to take, and I was constantly waiting for the right moment to at least come and do something to show my face. And recently, with all that's going on in the world, then many people were asking and requesting my opinion about what's going on in regards to the coronavirus that is spreading around the world like wildfire. Now, this is very appropriate because tomorrow is Purim, and it is more appropriate because whether you're aware of it or not, whether you're willing to accept it or not, Mashiach is already here. He already is pulling his sleeves up. The coming of Mashiach is so close that it's just unbelievable. I don't know if you feel it, but I definitely feel the excitement in the air. And if you don't, hopefully tonight, maybe it will help you arouse your excitement. So I decided, since it's Purim tomorrow, Purim is one of the most, if not the most powerful days of the year. To a point that if you would ask any average individual, what is the most holiest day in the year? It will tell you Yom Kippur, right? But the day Yom Kippur, in Hebrew you say Kepurim, it means like Purim, which means Purim is a very high and auspicious day, and Yom Kippur, thank you, is Kepurim, like Purim. And our sages explain to us that at the time of Mashiach, very soon, then all the other holidays will be cancelled. And not only that, all the mitzvot will be cancelled, which is a big wonder. What does it mean? Well, we're not going to have any holidays anymore? We're not going to have mitzvot anymore? A very quick explanation is that at the time of Mashiach, the godly revelation, the spiritual enlightenment that is achieved by the mitzvot and by the holidays will be present. We're not going to have to do anything. We're not going to have to put tefillin on in order to reveal this godly light. It's going to be revealed constantly. So when it says that the mitzvot are going to be cancelled, that the holidays are going to be cancelled, not that we're not going to do it, but the godly revelation, so to say, the production of our action is going to be constantly there. But nevertheless, Purim and Chanukah are going to be the only days that are not going to be cancelled. And Purim is known to be one of the most auspicious days of the year, that if we act right, what we can achieve on Purim, we can't even achieve on Yom Kippur. That's how high Purim is. And if we really focus our mind and our actions on Purim, we have unbelievable opportunities to do what's called v'na'afochu, and to change everything completely. Right now, as we speak, there's a big argument in Shamayim how the redemption is going to happen. It's not a question if it's going to happen. Mashiach is already here. Great rabbis of our generations are saying that he's here, and some even say they saw him and know who it is, and I'm not going to now interpret every person what they say, but the reality is that Mashiach is already here. The argument in Shamayim is not how and what and when. The argument right now in Shamayim is if the redemption is going to come in a peaceful way, bechesed, or not, chas v'shalom. That's the argument in Shamayim, as we speak. So it's up to us what we can do to make sure that the redemption is coming peaceful, because if chas v'shalom it's not going to come peaceful, this coronavirus is a walk in the park. What chas v'shalom we can see in regards to the disaster and the Armageddon, what can just happen. And you can all use your own imaginations. I mean, Hashem has already exposed to us everything for us to understand and believe that he can do whatever he wants. He can shut down a whole country like that. One of the most powerful countries in the world, with a flick of a finger, he shuts them down. And he's now proving to us in many other ways that with a little virus, half the world is shut down. If you remember at the time of the destruction of the temple with Titus Harasha, that he thought that he has control of everything. What did Hashem do? This is a story in the Talmud. He brought a little mosquito, He says, Bria ktana barati, I have created a very small creature, a little mosquito that went zip up his nose and drove him nuts. And the Talmud says how he was walking for months with migraines, with throbbing pain in his head till he went completely cuckoo and he killed himself. So a person who thought that he's controlling the world, Titus was in the level of controlling the world. So Hashem showed him, you think I have a problem with you? I'll send a little mosquito and I'll show you how I shut you down in a second. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu now is showing us in very different ways how he has the control. Now comes the point what we need to take from that. Now, at first I thought of sitting here now and pouring out some sources where we see in prophecies about this virus right now, because there are prophecies talking about this virus. And many people ask me, where does it say anything in the Zohar? Does it say anything in the Ktubim, in the scripts? So I chose not to sit now and start telling you, yeah, it says in this book and that book and so forth. There's one midrash that I find very, very interesting. It says, can be found in Midrash Rabbah on Shir HaShirim and in another source, but what it says, on the verse of Shir HaShirim, Hatayena Chanta Pagea. This is in the Midrash of Shir HaShirim chapter 2, verse 13. And it says that right before Mashiach is going to come, there's going to be a huge plague. This is what the Midrash says. On Shir HaShirim. Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs by King Solomon, is known to keep and hold in it great secrets. And it says that this virus, this plague, it doesn't say virus, rather it says plague, it says Magefa, will kill all the wicked people, and the ones who are not wicked will survive. And then the verse goes, Atena chanta pagea. After that, it says, V'agfanim semadar natnu reach. The vines with their tiny grapes have given fragrance. This is referring to the ones who will remain after that. And on that, the Midrash brings a prophecy from Isaiah, from Yeshayahu, chapter 4, verse 3, where it says, "V'hanishar b'Tzion v'hanotar b'Yerushalayim kadosh ya'amer lo." The ones who are going to remain or sustain in Tzion, in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem, they will be called holy. Every survivor shall be in Zion. Holy shall be said on him. So the Midrash is saying that right before Mashiach is going to come, Hashem is going to bring a plague to the world that will kill all the wicked people, and the ones who will remain in Eretz Israel. And how I've been saying for the last 5 years, everybody should rush to Israel. Unfortunately, many are not rushing. I know now with what's going on, the Nefesh B'Nefesh requests, where whatever it is they can't even control it. Now people are starting to wake up. Now it's not going to be so easy to leave any country and not to come into any country. For years I've been screaming, move your stuff to Israel already. This great tzaddikim, I heard not too long ago, I don't remember the name of the tzaddik who said, I think it was the Stipler or maybe, I don't take me by the word, that he said, move to Israel as fast as you can, because very soon you maybe will be able to go without even your own bag. And maybe with a handkerchief, you'll be able to take a handkerchief with you, if you're lucky. So very soon, that's it. The doors will be closed. Hashem is already showing us there's not going to be much movement going on between countries. So the ones who will remain will be called holy. And this is a prophecy in Isaiah with the Midrash Rabbah on Shir HaShirim, can be found in chapter 2, verse 33, and also in Psikta Rabbati. This is another book of Midrashim explaining on the Parshiot. This is two sources where it says this Midrash that I just quoted. Now, again, there are many different prophecies and many different scripts that you can find talking about the plague. What is very interesting here is that I'm sure you saw, I even saw that. Well, now I have a lot of extra time, so I see a lot. But there was a video going around that a few weeks ago in Parashat Bo, where it says about eating a live animal, and it says that Rashi says kor'ona. There was a video going around the social network. Everybody was seeing it. You didn't see it? Okay, so go to Parashat Bo. In the beginning, this can be found in the book of Shmot, chapter 12, verse 9. where it's talking about the prohibition of eating a live animal or a piece of flesh out of an animal. And go to Rashi and see what Rashi says. And Rashi says that in Arabic, it says korona. It's called raw. And you're literally seeing Rashi says corona. Unbelievable. And that's when it really started in Parashat Bo. That's a few weeks ago. But what's interesting here, that the numerical value of corona, how it says in Rashi, is 358. 358 is the exact numerical value of the word nachash, serpent, which is the exact numerical value of Mashiach. So we see a great connection between the name, who invented corona. Corona is not a new virus, they have it already for decades. But the numerical value, how Rashi write it, not how they write it in Israel, corona with a kuf, vav, resh, nun, hey. Rather how Rashi writes it, which is kuf, resh, aleph, vav, nun, aleph. This is corona. It's called raw, corona, which of course I'm sure you heard all the different explanations where it came. Some people say it came because of reading the different types of animals, the bats, the rats, the live animals. Some say it was an experiment, a bio-experiment by the Chinese. It went wrong. I mean, there's all sorts of theories which at least I can care less about the theory. I care about the fact. It doesn't matter how it happened. If it was a mistake, it was eating a bat or eating a rat. It doesn't matter. A lot of people are now debating where it came from. It doesn't matter. The fact is that it's here. Now, what are we doing? Now, when it comes to the redemption is really around the corner. And hopefully tonight we're going to get some type of awareness what we need to do. Because when Mashiach comes, I don't wish to anybody to be caught with their pants down. And that can happen literally. Of course, I'm not talking literally, talking about a person is surprised. Wait a minute, I wasn't prepared. They didn't tell me. Oh, I thought Mashiach is coming in 3 years. I thought I had time. So exactly now we just read a few parashot about the entire redemption. Moshe Rabbeinu came to Mitzrayim. They didn't quite have time to prepare. It actually says when they left Mitzrayim, they rushed out. The difference between this redemption, our current redemption, and the Mitzrayim redemption is that then they didn't have time, they rushed out. In our redemption, we have time. How much time? I don't know. 3 days, 3 hours, a month, I don't know. But even if it's now another few days, then we have time to prepare in 3 days, 4 days, a month, however long it's going to take. But I don't think it's going to take much longer. What is interesting is when it's talking about the redemption of Mitzrayim, if you notice, I'm sure you did, our entire service of Hashem is around Yetziat Mitzrayim. How many times a day do we commemorate and memorize the Yetziat Mitzrayim? Everything that we do, Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim. You say Birkat HaMazon every day, Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim. Let's remember they're going out of Egypt. You do Kiddush on Shabbat. Every prayer, all that we do is constantly reminding us Yetziat Mitzrayim, Yetziat Mitzrayim. Why is it not talking about the creation of the world, which can be explained as a much greater miracle, the creation of the world, or many other miracles? Specifically, it's Yetziat Mitzrayim, because our entire existence is to live for the final redemption. Now, Shlomo HaMelech says in the book of Kohelet, I always break my teeth trying to say Ecclesiastics in English, so if I butcher the name, forgive me, I will say Kohelet. Shlomo HaMelech says in Kohelet, first chapter, in the 9th verse, Ma shehaya hu sheyeh. What has been is what will be. End of story. This is a strong quote by the wisest man in history. And he's referring to what was in the redemption of Mitzrayim will be the exact same thing right now. Nothing is going to change. The continuation of this verse, En chadash tachat hashemesh. Nothing is new under the sun. What was, will be. So if we're going based on what he's saying there, and we're going to look at the last few months what was going on, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is doing exactly what he did in Mitzrayim. And I'm going to very briefly go through everything, really, because I want to get to the point. I'm not going to start pulling every source and every action that happens on this planet. But I don't know if you're aware of it, but in the last few months, rivers of blood were found in Africa and in southeast of Asia. If you don't believe, let me know later. I will email you, or you will see the editing on this video of the footage of these rivers of blood. Suddenly out of nowhere, complete rivers in Africa and Southeast Asia, suddenly the whole river is blood. Another place in the, I think it's called the Caspian Sea in Kazakhstan, the exact same thing. The whole sea turned into blood. And there's footage of it. Now in our days, everything is documented. And this is the first plague that was. Later on, in Saudi Arabia, recently was a hail, Sufat Barad, a storm of hail, kind of equivalent to what was in Mitzrayim. Balls of hail came down on Saudi Arabia. Later on, I'm sure that you saw, that is recently, how many countries were hit with locusts? Ethiopia, Somalia, Saudi Arabia, Iran. Somebody sent me 2 days ago a video of a highway in Iran, locusts the size of birds. The whole highway is locusts, and you hear them in Arabic. We're going to put all this footage on the video. So, because you say that, you see it, what's going on here? Locusts in huge countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran. What is interesting here is that you see that Kadosh Baruch Hu is completely shutting down Iran. He's totally taking us off their agenda. It's not being publicized, but a lot of their leaders got sick and died from corona. And there's a hospital in Beirut that the Hezbollah has control over it, and it's known to the Israeli intelligence that all the heads of the Iran regime and Hezbollah and all, they're all in that hospital getting treated. So what is interesting is that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is shutting everybody, our enemies, is keeping them very occupied right now. Hashem ilachem lachem v'atem tacharishon. Hashem is going to fight your wars, you just be quiet. I'm going to interpret very soon what it means you're going to be quiet. Quiet is close your mouth. But we'll talk about this very soon. Nevertheless, we see one step after the other, and what's the last one? Is Makat Bechorot. How many people are locked down in their houses? Thousands of people are on lockdown. How do you call it? Quarantine. Thousands of people cannot leave their own home. This is Makat Bechorot, and people just drop dead out of nowhere. This is where the Kadosh Baruch Hu shows us that I have the control. I decide who will get hit, when, and how. And how many people are just sitting in their house, they can't even leave. We are in the media, we're not really knowing what's going on here. We're kind of in the dark in the media. Now Italy has completely shut down all their borders. Half of Italy is completely shut down. Hospitals are full. Schools are shut down. Everything. That's in Italy. Now in Germany, every second day another country pops up and they're closing their borders. Nobody coming in, nobody coming out. Thousands of people are in quarantine. If they tell you 1,000 died, it's probably 100,000 died. They just don't want to tell you, especially when it comes to China. They're not going to tell you anything. Anybody who films or documents anything in China disappears within 3 minutes. So the media doesn't tell you really what's going on. Now, I can go on and on and on. I mean, I have a lot of time now in the last few weeks. I have a lot of time, Baruch Hashem. I can learn a lot without any interruptions, and I'm a little bit more free than the usual. So and of course everybody's sending me the videos, articles, and so forth to analyze. So I can sit now for another 2 hours and start going backwards and forth. What sources we can find the plague, who does what to who, why is this and that. This is really not the point. The reality right now is that this virus is spread all around the world. Everybody is going out of their minds. The governor of New York yesterday declared a state of emergency in the state of New York, shutting everything down. Schools are shutting down. Everything is shutting down. Just imagine a few more months of this. I mean, already, just by China not manufacturing and exporting anything for the last 2 months, trillions and trillions of dollars of damages. How many people, their products are stuck in China. China is completely shut down. What is very interesting, there's now in the internet satellite pictures from above, how something looked 2 weeks ago and how it looks now. Which is very interesting, because usually nobody releases high definition satellite pictures for anything. Suddenly we have very high definition satellite photos. And you see huge areas that are high occupancy completely empty. Highways in China are empty. Highways in Iran, empty. The Mecca in Saudi Arabia, completely empty. Everything is empty. Nobody's really focusing. Everybody's focusing on themselves or maybe on their own country, but not to focus what's going on around us. Now, we might not be so close to China, but when you're talking about a country that 250 million people are in quarantine and they can't get out of their houses and people are already dying of starvation and hunger and many other things that's happening, I mean, that's for us is to start thinking, wait a minute, what is the Kadosh Baruch Hu showing us here? Should I now freak out because of a little virus? Should I now go and buy enough supply to be in my house for a month? What should I do? People are really are panicking. What is going to happen now? I'm just thinking, just to put a little bit of thought in your mind, what's going to happen now if this is going to continue another 2 months? It's not going to become better, it's going to become worse. So it means economies are going to start crashing. Given another month or two, the entire economy of the world will crash. Not having China in the system, how is it going to affect other countries? It's already affecting countries in billions and billions and trillions of dollars. The Israeli airline, El Al, is already screaming to the government for help. They're way after bankruptcy. They're already negotiating with the government. What can the government do to save El Al? El Al has canceled thousands and thousands of flights. And it's not like in America that there's 20, 30, 40 airlines. We only have one airline. So here at least the government will somehow support the airline. In other countries, you don't have business, so goodbye. But just imagine, and I'm going to stop here because I don't want to focus on that. Just imagine, let your imagination run a little bit. What's going to happen if this will continue another month or two? It's not going to be good for anything. I'm not talking right now that countries will shut down completely. There's not going to be any traveling from one country to another country. Country will right away, they will stop you when you're coming to their country. I'm sure that very soon, miraculously, they're going to find some magical vaccine that will eliminate it. And then what's going to do? They're going to start controlling everybody with mandating the vaccines. Country will not allow you to come in if you're not vaccinated. I can just see where it can go. Hashem Yerachem. And you know what's interesting? That half a year ago, I gave a lecture in America, and I said that when somebody asked me, how do I think something is going to come down? I said, I think they're going to come out with some weird plague. And then they're going to come with some magical vaccine that will cure everybody. And sure enough, that's exactly what's going on. And I can just use my imagination how far it will go. But I can tell you that if it goes far and far away, Hashem Yerachem, where it can take us. I'm not talking about now the death toll. I'm not talking about now the suffering. I'm talking about where in regards to the world it will take us. Now, this is all good news. Because it says in the Talmud that before Mashiach comes, En ben David ba ad shetichle pruta min hakis. The son of David, Mashiach cannot come till everybody's completely broke. So Hashem is already breaking completely the entire economy of the world. In 2008, 2009, there was a huge crash in the market in the United States, which affected the entire market in the world. At the time, a great Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg, said at the time then, this is almost over 10 years ago, he said then, this is the beginning of the redemption where the Kadosh Baruch Hu is breaking the power of physicality and materialism in the world. This was the first time people lost their millions. After that came Madoff and all this, it was 2-3 years that people lost millions and millions of dollars of what they saved for their entire life. Then the great Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg said, this is the beginning of the redemption where the Kadosh Baruch Hu is starting to crush the economy of the world. Because Mashiach is going to come here. We're not going to need an economy when Mashiach comes. We're not going to have currencies when Mashiach comes. We're all going to barter from each other. Countries are going to barter from each other. One country will bring potatoes to one country and the other country will pay them back with rice. That's how it's going to work. Then we're not going to have money. We're not going to have currencies. There's not going to be banks and all this system. It's going to be a messianic system that we all help each other and we barter from each other and we all live in peace. After all, we're talking here about billions of people who will remain after Mashiach comes. Our sources are talking about the 2/3 are going to be annihilated, 2/3 are going to disappear from the world, but that leaves us with 1/3 of the population. That's 2.5 billion people. Who are these 2.5 billion people? The world will remain. Rambam says, Olam ki minago noeg. The world will sustain in the beginning exactly the same. So you see how the Kadosh Baruch Hu is now coming in a very obvious way and completely crushing the economy of the entire world, bringing countries down to their knees. Now, of course, when countries are down to their knees, they do desperate actions. They don't know how to relate with that. But again, I do not want to go to analyzing and interpreting, and this is completely waste of time. I rather see the situation and now what do we do with it? So I'm going to stop here by talking about what can happen, how far it can go. You do your own research, and Bemet, it's not so important. It's important enough that each and every one of us understands that the Kadosh Baruch Hu has raised a red flag, or in the Israeli terms, it's called a black flag. That's it. No more games. I'm done with giving you games. I'm done with playing around. This is it. I had it up to here. Kadosh Baruch Hu is showing us in a very obvious way that He has the control of everything. Whether it's economy, whether it's health, whether it's anything, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who's controlling everything. And the problem is that most people, I hope up until today, think that they have the control. This is called Kochi ve'otzem yodi. My might, my hand did this. Really, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is saying, oh really? You did this? Let me show you how in a second I will destroy any country that I want, any regime, anything that you'll say. Kadosh Baruch Hu is showing us in a very simple way that He has the control. Now that we see all this, this is where we see how miraculous is. When is all this happening? Now, a day before Purim. Tomorrow is Purim. Tomorrow is Purim. Can you imagine? Okay, it started a few weeks ago. But now we're standing in front of Purim, so we're going to have to go back now in the time machine and let's see what's going on in Purim. What was going on in Purim? First of all, we have to understand that Purim, like I told you before, has the highest godly revelation. If you do what you need to do, you can reach to the highest godly revelation higher than Yom Kippur. This is called the Tika Kadisha, the highest level of all the Sfirot. In the teachings of Kabbalah, there are different levels, what is called madrigot, rather, I don't know if to call it steps, but more correct to say levels, or the Kabbalistic term to that is parzufim. A parzuf is a face. The highest of all, it's called the Tika Kadisha. On Yom Kippur, when we fast, when we pray, when we repent and so forth, we're able to go through the 7 lower Sfirot of a Tika Kadisha. But on Purim, we're able to go higher than that. Higher than Yom Kippur. So if we do what we're supposed to do, we can reach to the highest level of godly revelation on Purim. And this is again just called the Tika Kadisha. I'm not going to now elaborate much about that, but just that you have it in the back of your mind that tomorrow night, at least for us it's tomorrow night, until the next day after that, anything can be achieved, which we're going to concentrate on that. Now, what is the simple explanation of Purim? Really what's going on in the whole story? Haman, who was the second to the king, who was a wicked person, he was a politician, he was a billionaire, he was a very influential individual. He comes to Achashverosh, the king, which again, very interestingly, or I shouldn't say ironic, but what is the Megillah is telling us about the control of Achashverosh? Sheva ve'esrim u'meya medinot, right? 127 countries Achashverosh had control of. So how many countries now are reporting of Corona? 87? Give it a few more days. We'll get to 127. You'll see how the connection is. Achashverosh had control of 127 countries? No problem. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'll show you how I can spread this virus to 127 countries like that. No problem. Nevertheless, Haman goes to Achashverosh and tells him, listen, there's a nation, I want you to destroy them. Now Achashverosh wanted to destroy us just as much as Haman, just that he was afraid. Because Achashverosh knew the history, and he saw that anybody that messes with the Jews gets punished for that. So he says, no, I don't want to deal with this nation. Haman was very persistent, and he came and told him, no, we should destroy this nation. Why? Because there's a very good reason for destroying us. Now, I told you already a lot of times that every generation there's a Haman. We're going to talk about that very soon, but let's stick to the story of Purim. It says in the Megillat Esther, you're going to read it tomorrow night, Be'ezrat Hashem. This can be found in the 3rd chapter in the 8th verse. that it says, Yeshno Am Echad, there is one nation, Mefuzar u'Meforad, scattered and separated. That's it. That's what we need to know. There's one nation, but it's scattered and it's separated. And of course, we're talking about us. Now, what is Haman saying to Achashverosh in simple words? They don't care about you. They don't really listen to you. They don't care what you say. They have a king above you. They don't look at you as a king. Go and ask them to desecrate Shabbat. They'll say, sorry, we have a king above you. We're not listening to you. I don't want to use false language, but in Hebrew we say, "Tzaftzefim alecha." We don't even listen to what you have to say. This is what Haman is telling Achashverosh. And he says, they have a king over you. More than that, he continues, this is what it says in the verse, "Vedatei hamelech enam osim." They don't listen to the laws of the king. And of course, he's referring to Achashverosh. He says, they're not listening to your rules. What is interesting here is that there's a rule in the Megillah. Whenever it says the word Hamelech, it's referring to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Whenever it says Achashverosh, it's referring to Achashverosh, the individual. What does the Megillah says? The rules of the master of the universe they don't do. They're not fulfilling the mitzvot. They're not observing the mitzvot. They're not doing what the master of the universe tells them to do. Forget about Achashverosh, that they're not listening to his rules. But the entire Megillah is all hidden. That's the whole point why it's called Megillah. Megillah means to reveal. And the name of the Megillah, Megillat Esther, because Esther means something that is concealed. So Haman is telling the Achashverosh, they're not listening to you, but in other words, he's saying, this nation, there's one nation, they're scattered, and they're separated, and they're not doing what their king is telling them to do. They're not fulfilling the mitzvot. Now, our power as a nation is when we do mitzvot. That's our protection from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. When we do mitzvot, there's an umbrella above us that Hashem guards us. It says also in Kohelet, we're not going to repeat the Ecclesiastics, Kohelet chapter 8 verse 5, it says, Shomer mitzvah lo yedara. Whoever keeps the commandments shall know no evil. Any person that fulfills the mitzvot, he has a full protection from the Kadosh Baruch Hu, a private bodyguard from the master of the universe. So when we do mitzvot, when we observe the Torah, I'm 100% protected by the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, the Ari HaKadosh explains something very interestingly. First of all, he says that our power as a nation is only one power, not F-16s or F-35 to be more updated, not machine guns, not political power, not money. We have one thing that is our power. That's called Achdut, unity. When we are united, nobody can beat us. When we are separated, we are subject to any attack from any direction. In the 6-Day War, the whole nation was united to a point that people, secular, not observant, religious people testified that the level of unity, of Achdut, was unbelievable. And look what we did. 5 armies we won in 6 days. We crushed them completely. So the Ari HaKadosh says our power as a nation is only unity. And when we don't have unity, that's where we lose. More than that, when we are united, we are successful. If we are not united, we're not going to be successful at all. Somebody told me today something interestingly. Says that what's going to happen is the Israeli scientists are going to find the cure to corona. Now the entire world will have to come to us to buy it. So somebody made a joke out of it. They should be produced in Judea and Samaria. Now all the people who are going against Israel, they can't buy it now because they boycotted products from Judea and Samaria. But that's all the jokes around it. But the reality is that everything comes out of the nation of Israel. And not to sound arrogant, but that's the reality. There's a condition, only if we're united. No unity, then we are going to be big-time losers. Now, when we are not in unity, that's when problems come. Every time that we go against each other, then problems attack us from all directions. Now you see it very obvious when it says separated. We just now had the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th election in this country. If you just hear the campaigns, you hear the hate, You hear how separated we are. I told my wife, I understand there's different parties. The right way is that the head of the party should say, I think you should vote for me because A, B, and C, but maybe the best man wins. How they badmouth each other in such a way, you see, and this is politics, and this is not in the religious circle, but nevertheless, the hate between one to another, you see this separation. And then, of course, you have all these different parties and then arguments and fights. I'm not talking about politics. Everywhere, every community, every shul, everywhere, there's groups and arguments. And of course, with that will come all the lies. And then, of course, comes the heavyweight of all, which is Lashon Hara. This is our stumbling block. This is where we fail. This is where the Kadosh Baruch Hu says there's no protection anymore because you're not following what I'm telling you to do. Now, when the Haman says to Achashverosh, "Datei HaMelech hem lo osim," the mitzvot they don't do, this is going and explaining about us. We don't follow the Torah and the mitzvot. I'm not saying we, every person in this room. Don't take every word that I say personally. I'm saying as a nation. The majority of our nations are not fulfilling Torah and mitzvot. We are a minority that fulfills Torah and mitzvot. And is it the fault of us or them? We're not here to look for anybody has fault. We're looking for solutions, not to point a finger. But the reality right now that the majority of the Jews are not fulfilling the Torah and the mitzvot. Now, interestingly, it says the word Yeshno Am Echad. The Ari HaKadosh explains it. The word Yeshno means there is. How do you write it in Hebrew? Yud, Shin, Nun, Vav. Yeshno. The Ari HaKadosh says, separate the letters, and you can read it as Yashen, Vav. Yashen means sleeping, Vav corresponds to Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Basically saying that Yeshno doesn't mean there is, rather the Kadosh Baruch Hu is sleeping right now. Now, is really the Kadosh Baruch Hu sleeping? No. But the analogy that the Ari HaKadosh explains is if there's sun outside, but I close the curtain, then I'm stopping from the light to coming in. If I close now a barrier, then I'm the one who's closing the light. So is Hashem sleeping? No, it just looks like Hashem is sleeping. A lot of people say, where was Hashem in this situation? Where is Hashem in that situation? Well, maybe you're the one who's closing the blinds. You're not letting the light in. So nevertheless, when we are spiritually, the right way, I don't know if that's the most correct word. You can correct me if I'm wrong. In Hebrew, it's called rifyon. Rifyon is when something is very, very loose. The word that I found as a translation is slackness. When a person is spiritually very weak, but it's not necessarily weak, because a person can be spiritually weak, that's one thing. Rifyon, that there's barely any hole, it's very loose. Or the word that I found is slackness. When there's a spiritual slackness, what happens is that the person is blocking from the spiritual light for coming in. So it looks like Hashem is not involved, or Hashem Chas v'Shalom is sleeping. Now we have a problem here, because in our generation right now, we have this slackness in two levels. Between me and the Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ben Adam Lamakom, and between me and other people, Ben Adam Lechavero. So I have this slackness from both directions, between me and Hashem, and between me and other people. Now, going back to the Megillah, Haman knew that we are sleepy. He knew that. Haman was a very big sorcerer. He had very strong spiritual powers. He knew that we are all asleep. He says, now is a good time to hit them, because they don't have supervision from the world above. And I told you already, every generation there's a Haman. I'm going to explain that soon more thoroughly, but every generation there's a Haman. 75 years ago there was a Haman in this German individual. I don't even say his name, not even to mention the name. But that was a manifestation of Haman. The Haman doesn't change. The body changes, but the spirit, it's the same Haman. Every generation somebody comes to destroy us. Now we also have a Haman in Iran. Don't think for 1 second they're playing games there. They're working day and night to annihilate us. Because their belief, by the way, in case you don't know, their belief is that their Messiah cannot come if we exist. That's the belief of the radical Islam. As long as we are alive, the Jews, their Messiah cannot come. So they have to kill us all. So they're working day and night to do that. Now, of course, Kadosh Baruch Hu is on our side. Utzu etza v'tufar, davu davar v'lo yakum. Don't worry, let them plan. Kadosh Baruch Hu will keep them busy with locusts, with corona. He can keep them busy with the earthquakes, whatever he wants. I'm not worried at all. But the reality is that close to 2,000 years ago, then Haman knew that we are asleep. So also now we are asleep. We are so asleep, spiritually of course. And I'm not talking about the ones who are completely secular, who are walking the streets of Tel Aviv or Manhattan. I'm talking about us. The ones who are wearing yarmulkes and beards and peot and shaitels or whatever it is. We are the sleeping ones. The ones who are observant are sleeping. And maybe we show up to the shul once a day, twice a day, here a mitzvah, there a mitzvah. We are the ones who are asleep, by the way. Now, as I said before, Achashverosh didn't want to do that. But when he saw that there's a good opportunity, he took Haman's advice. Now, Achashverosh knew also that the wars, the battles is not down in this world. The battles in the world above. And like I mentioned before with Shlomo Melech, with Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, the first chapter, verse 6, where it says, En chadash tachat hashemesh, there's nothing new under the sun. It says there's nothing new under the sun, but above the sun, there's a lot of things that are new. Under the sun, in this realm, you can't change everything. Everything is the same. But above the sun, then you can change. And Achashverosh knew that the battle is in the world above, not in the world below. Now, we need to understand, because what's going on here, since nothing new under the sun, En chadash tachat hashemesh, what's going on right now is exactly the story of Purim. So we have to understand, who is this Haman? Now, Haman is not an individual. He is physically. But who is Haman? Haman comes from the root of Amalek. Now, Amalek, very interestingly, it's not a nation. They don't have a country. They don't have a flag. They don't have a currency. Amalek is some weird group of people. When we had to go to wars, so the Midianites, they had a country. Any other nation that we had to fight, they had a country, they had a system. Amalek doesn't have a country. There's no land of Amalek. They just come out of nowhere. And Amalek is a power of evil that one can explain it that it's like a bacteria. It lives off somebody else's life. And what's interesting here, now we're battling a virus. Virus and bacteria, they work very differently, but nevertheless, Amalek is like a bacteria. It attaches to where something is weak or dead. And that's where it goes stronger. Now, what does Amalek do? It says in the book of Dvarim, chapter 25, verse 18. It says about Amalek, Asher karcha baderech. What is Asher karcha baderech? This can be found in Parashat Ki Tetzeh. It says that Amalek would come from the back and then cut off all the stranglers at your rear when you are faint and weary. This is where Amalek comes. Amalek comes from the back, from behind, to the ones who are very, very weak, that they're faint, they're weary, or like I said before, this slackness. That's where Amalek comes and attacks. Now, how did it work in the time of the desert? The first time we got acquainted with Amalek is the second that they went out of Mitzrayim. We just read that a few weeks ago. Now, how did it work? The second that they went out of Mitzrayim, they were surrounded by a cloud. And whoever was in the cloud was protected. Now, the cloud made many miracles, much more miracles than we know. Okay, we know that the cloud washed their clothes. But the cloud also paved the path where they were walking. Whatever was hills, it would shave it off. Any thorns, any rocks on the way, the cloud would kind of pave a path to walk on. The cloud made a lot of things. And most important, it protected anybody who's in the cloud. If you're in the cloud, you're protected. Now, how do you remain in the cloud? I mean, I'm not talking about right now the cloud that you download your pictures from. The way it worked is Amalek, when we want to understand who's Amalek, Amalek has a numerical value of 240, which is the numerical value of the word doubt, safek. Same numerical value. Not only that, the job of Amalek is to inject into you doubt. But doubt that there's no God. That's what Amalek comes to do to you. He comes to you and he injects venom that cools you down, and you're saying, I don't believe that there's a God. And you can wear a nice beard, and a yarmulke and do half the mitzvot and still don't believe there's a God. If you would believe 100% that there's a God, then you will never have any fear, any worry, any anxiety. You would just trust God 100%, right? But nevertheless, how many people are observant? They fear, they have worries, anxieties, they worry about how they're going to make their next payment, how they're going to pay their rent, and many other. They have chas v'shalom, a sickness, what's going to happen? People now panicking. You don't believe in Hashem? What are you panicking from? From a little virus? Well, worse things happened on this planet. This is what you're panicking? So Amalek comes in the back, he cools you down and he injects doubt in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now Amalek is a klipa, is an evil force, is a negative power that comes to do its job, and the job is to put doubt in you. Now there are many types of klipot. We just now read about Paro. Paro is also a certain type of klipa. We're imagining in our mind a king. According to the Talmud, he was amma tall, 50 centimeters, a little midget. But nevertheless, we imagine a king. Paro is a klipa, is a physical power, is a physical and spiritual evil power. Now what is Paro? Paro has the letters. If you switch the order of Paro, you can write it Oref. Oref means the back of the neck. And Paro has the ability to separate organs and limbs. Paro tells you, go to the Shiur Torah, learn Torah as much as you want, but leave it here. Don't let it come down to actions. You can learn, you can do everything, believe in Hashem, I don't mind, keep it up here. He grabs you by the back, Oref is the back of the neck, and he tells you whatever's up here, don't let it come down to your midot, to your heart. You can believe, you can know, you can be knowledgeable in the Torah and mitzvot, but don't bring it into action. It's separating the mochin and the intellect to the midot. This is what Paro does. Now what's amazing is the letters Paro, if you switch the letters in one way, it's Oref. Oref is the back of the neck. Another way of writing it is Par. Par is a gap. Paro is the klipa that makes you leave the intellect in your mind, but makes a gap that you don't actually bring it into action. How many people you learn all day long in the yeshiva, you're not allowed to lie, not allowed to say lashon hara, not allowed to slander, and then you go and slander and lie, and you just learned about it. Why don't you apply that? You nodded your head when the rabbi said you're not allowed to steal, and to have to gezel, and to judge other people. You're not, but then 5 minutes later, you bump into somebody in the street and everything that you learned stays in the brain, and in the action nothing happens. That's the klipa of Paro. That the Paro says, listen, I don't mind you learning, but don't apply it. Let it stay in your brain. Now, when we left Egypt, we just read that, there were many, many miracles, but right after the leaving of Egypt, the father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu, Yitro, came to the desert. Vayishma Paro, Vayishma Yitro, he heard. How did he hear? What was CNN? How did he hear? Vayishma Yitro et kol asher asa Hashem lebnei Israel. He heard what Hashem did to the nation of Israel. What, he had WhatsApp? He saw it on Facebook? How did he hear that? The entire world heard what was going on. Shamu amim v'yirgazun. We read this every day in Kiryat Yamsuf. The nations have heard and they got angry. Why? Because they saw with their own eyes the miracle of the opening of the Yamsuf. Can you imagine? It's not how you imagine it, by the way. The way the Midrash explains that, first of all, it was 12 places the water opened for every tribe. Now the way it opened, it didn't just open like in the movie 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston. That it opened and then Jesus walked in. It opened just a little bit, and then they walked in. As they're walking, the water is opening, and as they're finishing, it's closing. Why? To show you every second. There's a miracle every second. It's not like what scientists explain, oh, there was a very strong wind. You're right, there was a very strong wind. But miraculously, it opened as they're walking. Can you imagine the level of emunah, of belief, that you're just walking and the water just opens? And as their last one goes in, then the water closes. Nevertheless, it says when Yitro came to the desert, he heard two things. The opening of the Yamsuf and the war with Amalek. From all the other miracles, 10 Commandments and many other, now we're going to have Pesach in a month. Rabbi Akiva says there were 250 miracles. I'm sure you remember from the Haggadah of Pesach. There's an argument between the sages. 10 miracles, 50 miracles. Each one says there was 50 on the water, 50 in the Egypt, 150. And the conclusion was there were 250 miracles. And Yitro heard many of them, but what made him come is the war with Amalek and the splitting of the ocean. Because the splitting of the ocean, that's a real miracle. But the war with Amalek, for him, that was the greatest of all. How can you win this nation and you just came out of Egypt? You just came out of a Holocaust. How can you fight warriors and win them? Just imagine, Am Yisrael comes out of Egypt, 210 years of slavery. You think they came with machine guns and swords? They were all literally coming out of Egypt like out of a Holocaust. They're all limping. How can they win a war? But nevertheless, the Kadosh Baruch Hu does a huge miracle, but the rule is that the Kadosh Baruch Hu always, when he makes a miracle, he always would leave one opening to put in some doubt. For the ones who want to not believe, there'll be something not to believe in. He's not going to do it in a way that's going to be 100%, wow, a miracle. He's going to make it 99.9. Why? That will be 1% for the ones, the heretics, or the ones who don't want to believe. Oh, we have something to not to believe. But nevertheless, sometimes a person can see in front of their face the Kadosh Baruch Hu and still not believe that it's the Kadosh Baruch Hu. How many times people have a miracle in front of their face and they stop? It's not the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It had to happen. It was the hand of this and that. This came to the rescue. You don't see in front of your face. You saw the miracle in front of your face. Why can't you acknowledge it? It's a miracle. How many people have you experienced miracles? And you know the rule is that when you have a miracle, then you have to publicize that. You have to acknowledge, I just had a miracle. I mean, we're having miracles on a daily basis. Just the fact that we're breathing, it's a miracle. But many people, they have miracles in front of their face and they don't want to believe that it's coming from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's how strong Amalek can be. That you see Hashem in front of your face, you see the hand of Hashem, you say, no, it's not Hashem. It was a coincidence. It was a power coming from a different direction. Nevertheless, the way it works is the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Amalek, it grabs whoever's not in the cloud. If you're in the cloud, then you are safe and secured by the cloud. But Amalek cannot come into the cloud. Amalek can only grab a person when the person is out of the cloud. Now, who's in the cloud? And again, I'm repeating over and over what Shlomo Melech says. Ma shaya hu shiyeh. What was is the same thing. Nothing changed. En chadash tachat hashemesh. There's nothing new under the sun. What we're going through now, a carbon copy to 3,400 years ago. So who's in the cloud? The person who has 100% emunah in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. If a person has 100% faith in Hashem, he's in the cloud. He will never be hurt. He's totally secured and guarded by the cloud. If a person is in the cloud, he has 100% emunah in Hashem, then he's attached to the truth. This is what's called mekushar laemet. I'm attached to the truth. Nothing can happen. Even if I go in the valley of the shadow of death, I'm not going to worry. Nothing's going to happen to me. That's only if you have 100% emunah in Hashem, you are 100% safe. Now, if a person has a little bit of a doubt, he's ejected from the cloud. You have one little doubt in the existence of Hashem, you're thrown out of the cloud. And when you're thrown out of the cloud, right away Amalek grabs you and injects this doubt in you. It's not Hashem. There's something else. There's a higher power. There's a control from somebody else. I'm afraid of the government, the boss. This is, you're not believing in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You got ejected out of the cloud. Now, the good news is that Amalek cannot come into the cloud. By the way, Amalek is the worst of all the klipot. Amalek holds the neshama in the root of the neshama. That's why now Purim is so powerful, because we can go to the highest level, what is called Atika Kadisha, and uproot Amalek. That's why we read yesterday, Limchot et zecher Amalek. What do you think? We're uprooting a nation that existed 2,000 years ago? We're uprooting the root of it, that I should not have any doubts. Now, if I have no doubts, and I have 100% emunah in Hashem, do I need to worry? If I believe in the Kadosh Baruch Hu 100%, do I have something to worry about? Hashem is not going to take care of me? He's not going to give me sustenance or air to breathe? And if I chas v'shalom has to go down in something, that's the will of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But unfortunately, how many people have 100% emunah in the Kadosh Baruch Hu? We are called ktanei emunah. We have a little bit of emunah. How many times did I mention that we have emunah when everything goes well? But when chas v'shalom something is not going so well, the emunah flies out the window. Now I don't believe in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. How come you didn't believe in the Kadosh Baruch Hu now? You believed in Him 2 minutes ago. Or something became a little bit hard in your life, so you don't believe in Hashem anymore. But that's exactly the test. Now, whoever lives a life of truth, chayei emet, then you're attached to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You're in the cloud. Nothing can happen to you. You are 100% safe. David HaMelech says in Tehillim, Yipol mitzidcha 1,000. 1,000 will fall from one side. Revava miyaminecha. 10,000 from the other side. Elecha lo yigash. Nothing will come to you. Ki ata imadi, because you are with me. So if I live a life of truth, I'm connected to the master of the universe, I have nothing to worry about. But if I don't live a life of truth, you know what type of life I live? A life of a lie. Now I'm in trouble. Why? Because if I don't believe that everything is from Hashem, then what kind of a life of truth am I living? If somebody now is suing me, should I get upset at the person who's suing me? No, everything is from Hashem. Somebody now bumped into my car. I need to be upset that the person bumped into my car? Everything is from Hashem. I need to be upset at that person right now. Somebody's more successful than me in business. I have to be jealous of him now? No, it's all from Hashem. Hashem made him successful. So all these qualities that I'm upset, jealous, angry, that's saying, in other words, you don't believe in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. If you would believe in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, you would know that Hashem made this person successful more than you. Hashem made this person more greater than you, or whatever it is. So if I'm now have feelings of jealousy, of oh, this person did this to me, I have to get back at him, then you don't have any emunah at all. Now you don't have any emunah, no faith, then you're out of the cloud. You're out of the cloud, then you're subject to attack of Amalek, which means you have no protection from the godly cloud. Now whoever is out of the cloud, then this power of impurity of Amalek grabs him. Now you have a problem. You know why? Because Amalek will put the person through hardship, Yesurim. Now one can come and say, why would Hashem create such a power? Why would Hashem create a power like Amalek? To put me through agony? To put me through hardship? I don't understand that. Why would Hashem do such a thing? You know why? Because when a person goes through hardship, that's when the Kadosh Baruch Hu slaps him across the face and get your act together. Oh, suddenly you wake up. Suddenly a person gets their act together. Why? Because there's hardship, there's problems, financial problems, lawsuits, health problems. Hashem Yerachem. I see it as a slap to the face. I should see it as, whoa, that's a warning from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. The Midrash explains that the Kadosh Baruch Hu, before he wants to punish, it's like a father. A father takes out his belt. He doesn't do anything. He just takes out the belt. He's expecting the child to understand, whoa, the belt is out. And if that doesn't come across, then the father will slam the belt on the table. That the child will be like, ooh, the next one is me. Oh, I don't want to do anything. Same thing the Kadosh Baruch Hu does. He will slap something hard, will throw a coronavirus to the world and tells you, get your act together. Get your act together, because the next one is going to be slapped. I don't want to say who. So when I, chas v'shalom, get ejected out of the cloud, then Amalek will come to put me through hardship. Why? To get my act together. To be punished. Hashem is not punishing me. Hashem is actually telling me, I want you to get your act together, you know. And why? So I can wake up. Because if I'm sleeping spiritually, I need somebody to slap me across the face and wake me up. If not, I will not going to wake up myself. The problem is that when I'm sleeping, there's two types of Yetzer Hara. There's a Yetzer Hara that is coming in heat. It's called a hot Yetzer Hara. And a Yetzer Hara is called a cold Yetzer Hara. The hot Yetzer Hara is compared to a serpent, to a snake. Like the venom of the snake is very hot. And the cold Yetzer Hara is compared to a scorpion. And the venom of the scorpion is cold venom. Now the halacha says that if you're praying Shmona Esrei and a snake comes on your legs, you're not allowed to move. But if a Scorpio comes close to you, you're allowed to move in the middle of Shmona Esrei. Why? Because he's cold. He's going to bite you. He's going to... How do you say lehakish? The Scorpio bites? They don't bite. They sting, right? How do you... They sting? That's the word? Nevertheless, the hot Yetzer Hara, that's what we all have. I get excited to do a sin. I'm not going to get into too many explanations, but you use your own imagination. The Yetzer Hara that comes in heat gets you excited to do some sin. Whether it's to do this type of sin, that type of sin, we all have a hot Yetzer Hara, and again, use your own imagination, but The point is that the hot Yetzer Hara comes and gets me excited. That's a okay Yetzer Hara. The cold Yetzer Hara, that's the dangerous one, because it cools me down. Now, when I'm cold, spiritually, I don't do anything. You have to be true to yourself. How many times did the cold Yetzer Hara cool you down not to come to the minyan? I'll pray at home. And and you know when you pray, either at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or you don't pray at all. That's a cold Yetzer Hara. It's okay. Don't have to. Or the Yetzer Hara, when it comes in a cold way, it cools you down in so many different ways. There's a great class tonight. Are you coming? No, I'll see the video online tomorrow. So the Yetzer Hara, when it comes in a cold way, he cools you down in a very dangerous way. Why? Because he cools you down from the mitzvot. Now what happens is you have to be true to yourself. You stop showing up to the minyanim. You stop praying in a synagogue. Then you stop coming to classes. You stop accepting Shabbat the right time. Okay, this week I don't feel like doing challah. I'll buy the challah. And before you know it, 3 months pass. You didn't do challah. And suddenly the dress goes higher. I don't have to come with all sorts of explanations. The Yetzer Hara, when it comes in a cold way, cools you down. Don't have to be so fanatic. I believe in Hashem and I'm very observant. Don't have to be so crazy. But this is the coldness of the Yetzer Hara that cools you down. Now, can you scream out to the world, I'm cold, come and save me? Very, very hard. When the venom of the Scorpio hits you, you're not going to come in the streets and save me, I'm cold, I'm freezing spiritually, I can't do anything, I'm heavy like a rock. I don't get excited to run and desecrate Shabbat, but I'm so cold, I don't want to do anything in Torah and mitzvot. That's why I said before, the problem is with the observant people, not the secular ones. Secular ones are completely, they don't even know what's going on besides them. I'm talking about the observant ones. And we walk with beards and yarmulkes and suits and everything. And how many times are you so spiritually cold that you don't do anything? I'll go tomorrow. When was the last time you were in shul? Listen, I don't feel so good. It's far away. It's cold. Why are you giving me excuses? I don't need excuses. I'm just coming to tell you, you are frozen. You are an ice cube. You don't do anything. And I'm not trying to put you down. I'm trying to raise a situation that a lot of people are being affected by the cold venom of the Scorpio, and you're heavy like a rock. Now, what happens is when you're cold, you don't feel like doing anything. Spiritually cold. Now it was winter. Everybody was cold. Nobody wants to do anything. A few weeks ago was a freezing cold day. We made here a class. Nobody showed up. 3 people showed up. My wife told me, how many people came? I said 3. One of them lives in the building. The other 2 live around the corner. Nobody wants to come out. Who wants to go out in the cold? I'll see the video online. Why don't you want to come out? Because you're freezing. You don't want to leave the comfy bed, the hot room. Same thing here. Now, comes now a very big question. What is Amalek's big problem? Why does he want to destroy us? Go and ask now Haman and many others that wanted to destroy it. Why? If you could go now 80 years back to this Nazi Machshimo, ask him, why? What did I do to you? Why do you want to destroy me? Do you know me? Go 2,000 years back to Haman. Why do you want to destroy me? You don't even know me. We just left Mitzrayim. Amalek comes and attacks us. What did I do to you? I don't even know you. Why does Amalek want to destroy us? Have you ever thought, well, what's your problem? Why are you coming to attack me? What did I do to you? If I would do something to you, I understand. You have revenge. What did I do? Nothing to you. I didn't steal anything from you. I didn't trespass. I didn't badmouth you. I didn't do anything. Why do you want to kill me? You don't even know me. But because you have some weird theory in your mind. Because you think you're better or whatever. The only reason why Amalek wants to kill me is when there's spiritual slackness. Hitrofefut ruchanit. Whenever I'm slacking, so to say, or weakness in spirituality, that's when Amalek wants to come and kill me. That's the system. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu created it. So, now comes a big question. Should I be afraid of this Amalek? No. I should not be afraid, not of Iran, not of Hezbollah. Definitely not should be afraid of Corona. Why should I be afraid of Corona? A little virus? You know who I need to be afraid of? Of ourselves. We are the problem, not the virus. The virus is nothing. The same way that it came, it can go in just the same speed. The only thing that we need to be afraid of is ourselves. We are the problem. The fact that we are separated, the fact that we are scattered, the fact that there's sinat chinam. And I know people say, no, I don't know. What are you talking about? Sinat chinam? I don't see any sinat chinam. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, you're either blind or you're completely ignorant. You don't see sinat chinam? I never seen so much sinat chinam. That's our problem. Separation, sinat chinam, and then of course the worst of all, lashon hara. The quantities of lashon hara that's going amongst us is unheard of. And people are wondering what's happening. Go to the story of Korach, Parashat Korach, right after the event with Korach and the lashon hara. What was the next step? A plague. Right after. Korach goes against Moshe Rabbeinu. How dare you talk against the leader of the generation? And you turn around 250 heads of Sanhedrot, heads of congregation and great assemblies, 2.5 tribes go with Korach. What was the result? The floor just opened, the earth opened and swallowed everything with it. Go to Parashat Korach. What's the next thing after? A plague. And of course, what's the solution? Right away, Alon, go and make some incense, and the Ktoret, that will calm down the plague. So our problem, what we need to be afraid of, is not our enemies around us. You know that around us, as we speak, are probably about 50 million Arab soldiers waiting to kill us, if you just give them the green light. Hundreds of thousands of missiles are aimed at us as we speak. Nuclear vessels, submarines, boats, ships, aircraft carriers, thousands of military vessels. Just give them the green light, they come and attack us. How come we're not being attacked? Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who gives the sign. I need to be afraid of Iran now? I need to be afraid of a little virus? People are panicking. Somebody told me today, we're panicking. Panicking from what? You should be panicking that you're getting Hashem upset. That's what you should be panicking from. You should be panicking that you can't even close your mouth. And all day long what you do is just lie and slander. That's what you should panic. Panic because of a virus? The only thing we need to be afraid of is ourselves. We are the problem. The separation, the sinat chinam, the baseless hate, which is unbelievable. The lashon hara, that what I'm hearing all day long, every time I'm shocked from the beginning. To hear our people who are dressed as observant people all day long. He said and he did and he said and you know and he did and did. For the person who's saying that, that person is completely ejected from the cloud. Because if you cannot see another person better, successful, doing well, whatever, why are you talking lashon hara about this person all day long? You don't start showing any faith in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So our problem is that we are far away from the cloud. We got ejected from the cloud a long time ago with our actions. You think that if you do 20% mitzvot, you can do 95% mitzvot. But one time you say lashon hara, all your mitzvot, you made a crack in the wall. And you have to be true to yourself. Do you really observe 100% of the mitzvot? Do you really observe Shabbat 100%? Yesterday somebody sent me a link in the middle of the night to some interview of few Israeli rabbis. They're making a very big rally tomorrow next to Yerushalayim, they want 600,000 people to come. Anyways, they were interviewing a few of the rabbis. So it was Motzei Shabbat. One of the rabbis, who is a lot of the time mistaken, we both get mistaken from each other. Why? Because he also had a near-death experience, was also in jail, he looks a little bit like me. His name is Rav Menachem Edri. We look like many places I go, they think I'm him, people think him is me, very similar. Anyways, I looked at this interview, so they asked one of the rabbis, how was Shabbat? He was Baruch Hashem. So he said something along the line, did you observe the Shabbat? He was like, well, I was trying. Of course you were trying. You know, it's so easy not to observe the Shabbat. Here you fail in Borer, here you fail in Bishul, here you fail in this. You really know all the halachot in Shabbat? Every Shabbat I find myself making mistakes. I told you already, when I was starting to become observant for 3-4 years, I was observing Shabbat. I thought that's it, I'm observing Shabbat. That's till I opened the tractate in the Talmud of Shabbat and then went to Shulchan Aruch in the section of Shabbat. I said, I'm not even observing Shabbat because I'm failing all day long. Every Shabbat I fail. Whether with mixing, whether with sifting, whether with cooking, whether... The point is not to look at the what I'm not doing. But if I'm observing the Torah and mitzvot, but I still judge other people, and I still lie, and I do gezel, robbery and theft, and slander and lashon hara. I mean, I'm ejected out of the cloud a long time ago. Now I'm subject to the attack of Amalek. Now what's going to happen is, when I don't have emunah, because Amalek has already attacked me, then I'm not going to believe that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the master of the universe. He has a problem with a virus? I have to worry about a virus? Somebody asked me, why aren't you traveling now? I said, well, first of all, my health is not allowing me to travel. More than that, somebody said, oh, you're afraid of the virus? I said, I'm not afraid of the virus. I can travel all around the world now. I can care less. I just don't want to be 14 days in quarantine when I come back. I'm not going to get affected. I have 100% emunah in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. I don't worry about anything. Definitely not of a virus. I'm worried about the people around me who talk lashon hara all day long and slander and cheat and lie, and with the beard and the hair covering and the dress and everything. Now let's go a little bit further. I don't want to go too long. We have a problem what they had at the time of Purim. We were ejected from the cloud even then. So Haman saw it, Achashverosh saw it, and they said, okay, now's the time to strike. Now what happened is, Mordechai saw what's going on, and he says, okay, we gotta do something. What is the first thing that Mordechai does? He gets all the children, and he puts them together, and he starts teaching them Torah. Why to teach the children Torah? Because this is our power of existence, is teaching my kid the continuation, Veshinantam lebanecha. What am I teaching my kid? That my father was told by his father, that was told by his father, all the way back to Yetziat Mitzrayim and Matan Torah, that they saw God with their own eyes. How come you believe history books of something that happened 2,000 years ago and you don't believe the Torah? It's both history. Why do you disqualifying one source and the other source you don't disqualify? Not too long ago I was in a debate. I asked somebody, do you believe in the great Alexander Magdon? Of course. Why do you believe in him? Because it says in the books. So why don't you believe in Moshe Rabbeinu? He was just as great, he's greater. Also in the book. So when Mordechai taught the kids, he was instilling in them the faith that we have a master of the universe. This is called Veshinantam levanecha. The most important mitzvah is to teach my kids about our faith, that there's a creator to the world. Now, here where you come to see the resemblance, and this is where we can start deriving what we need to do. Because at the end of the day, like I told you, I can sit here now for 7 hours and we can debate with this corona thing and many other things. That's not the point. The point is tachlis. What do we do? What now? So let's see what it says in the Megillah, and you'll see how it's so connected to us, how it's so shayach to us. The first thing that Mordechai did is bring the kids, teach them Torah, to bring back the power of belief as the creator to the world. Then the next thing, Mordechai goes to Esther, and he tells her, listen, you're the queen, go into the king, talk to him. And I'm sure you know the whole debate. She told him, listen, I can't just go in, he's going to kill me. If I wasn't in there for 30 days, you have to come with permission, you know the whole story. Mordechai tells her, you were brought up until now, you have to go in. Don't worry. She says, but he's going to kill me. Don't worry, he's not going to kill you. That's why you were brought to the palace. He's not going to kill you. I'm telling you. So he sends Esther into the king. Now, what is the first thing that Esther tells him? No problem. I will go in, but I want you to do something. What? Go and gather all the Jews together. Bring everybody to Achdut. If there's no Achdut, if there's no unity in the nation, me going into the king is worthless. Nothing is going to happen. You know, there's a great tzaddik, Rav Steinman, passed away not too long ago. He had a habit not to give a blessing to a person who doesn't observe Shabbat. One time, a billionaire came to him and says, I will donate millions of dollars to your yeshivot, to poor people, etc., if you give me a bracha. He told him, do you observe Shabbat? He says, no. He says, I can't give you a bracha. This billionaire ended up donating twice the amount. Because he says, this is the first rabbi that doesn't care about my money. He cared about me doing a mitzvah or not. He ended up donating double. When he asked the rabbi, why don't you give a bracha to a person who observes Shabbat? Who doesn't observe Shabbat? He says, because Shabbat is the source of the brachot. Shabbat is mekor bracha. And if you don't observe the bracha, you don't observe the Shabbat, then my blessing will be for vain. Bracha levatala. So I can't give him a blessing. So same thing here. Esther tells Mordechai, go and gather everybody together. Achdut, we need unity. Without unity, we are finished. We are kaput without a unity. Esther tells Mordechai, gather everybody together. And me talking to the king is worthless if outside you're not in unity. The next thing she tells him, fast for 3 days. Now we don't have to fast 3 days, but you know what's the significance of fasting for 3 days? Don't talk. No lying. No cheating. No lashon hara. No slandering. Close your mouth. Haven't you noticed the ironic part is the corona, everybody's with masks? Hashem is telling us, shut your mouth. That's the problem. Excuse my language, but it has to be sound strong. Shut up. Everybody's with masks. You know the joke is that the mask doesn't even help. They say it makes it even worse. That's what doctors and scientists say. Don't put the mask. It doesn't do anything. But I see it that the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, cover your mouth. Try not to talk for 3 days. So Esther tells Mordechai, gather everybody. We need unity. Without unity, it's not going to work. We are shish kebab without unity. That's our problem. That's what people don't understand. We can't be united. We are powerless. The next thing is close your mouth from what's going in, and worse of that, what's coming out. And of course, then she tells, do tzedakah, charity, gimilut chasadim, acts of kindness. Baruch Hashem, I think that we're pretty good with tzedakah and acts of kindness. Then I can, chas v'shalom, I cannot say anything bad. I do see many people going out of their way, and it's heartwarming to see how much charity and gimilut chasadim, acts of kindness people do. But we're missing the other two. What good is your charity if you don't know how to close your mouth? If you're not united with another person. So what if he follows a different group or dresses different or has different political opinions? But we're one nation. And if we're not going to have this unity, we're going to have a problem. If we don't know how to shut our mouth, we're going to have a problem. Going back to what I was saying about the fear, a person who believes in the Kadosh Baruch Hu has nothing to fear. Because why am I saying that? Because all the emails and text messages that I'm getting is people are panicking. Don't panic. Why are you afraid? What are you afraid of? You don't believe in the Kadosh Baruch Hu? In Makat Bechorot, in the 10th plague, people were dying left and right. The nation of Israel, they sat at home. They were preparing whatever they were preparing for the journey. You think they had fear? How can you have fear? If you have fear, then you don't believe in the Kadosh Baruch Hu 100%. That's what we need to work on. The Zohar says that the test before the redemption is emunah. Only emunah. That's what the Zohar says. Rabbi Nachman from Breslov says the exact same thing. The test of right before Mashiach comes is only emunah. Hashem is going to test us to the end. How much emunah do you have? And you know what's worse of all that? You know when we're going to be started? When we're going to be started to be tested very soon with a high level of a test. Is that the wicked people, everything is going to be good, and the righteous people are going to suffer. That's a real confusion in emunah. How come this wicked person, everything is good, and this person is righteous, and all the makot, all the problems fall on this person? You already see it with your own eyes. If your eyes are wide open, you see that the real good, righteous people, Anshe Emet, people of truth, are suffering. Health, problems from here till tomorrow. And the wicked ones, everything is good, business is blooming, everything is great. This is a huge test in emunah. What's going on here? This is a huge individual and he seems suffering. This is a wicked person and everything is good. So we are placing now in unbelievable tests of emunah in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, going back to the opportunity that we have, that in Purim, we can reach to the highest level of godly revelation that uproots Amalek from its source. This is called Resha Deloit Yada. To a place that is, the Resha is the head above, where we don't even know what's going on there. Higher than Yom Kippur. That can be achieved on Purim, 24 hours. And why is it important? Because Amalek is rooted there. You go to the root and you cut it, that's it, we're done with this Amalek. That's why we had the mitzvah of uprooting Amalek. And this is done now in Purim. Why? Because the klipa is holding on the root. You can cut it as much as you want, but you have to go to the root. That's when you completely cut it off. Now, Now we have to understand from that there are 2 days in the year that when we can clean everything. Whatever can be achieved on Yom Kippur, you can achieve tomorrow on Purim and even more. What an opportunity. Now, tachles, down to the point. What do we need to do? And I'm sorry I'm going fast. I just don't want this class to be too long because it has to be straight and to the point. Later on we can elaborate with more questions and details. The first thing that we need to do tomorrow night is to listen to the Megillah. You have to listen to the Megillah from somebody who knows how to read it, not from any individual. You have to listen to every word. If you miss one word, it's like as if you didn't listen to it. The power of the Megillah is that the Megillah, exactly how it sounds in Hebrew, it reveals. It reveals the truth. Whatever is hidden and concealed, it will reveal. How many times you look at an individual and you heard so much Lashon Hara about this person, now you don't know if this person is kosher or not. Now you don't know what to do. So many people are trashing this individual. I don't know if to believe if he's kosher or not. The power of the Megillah will reveal what's the emet and what's the lie. Because 99% of you fail because you believe the lie. All it takes is one person to spread a few lies about an individual. That's it. This individual is wiped out. And I'm talking from experience, by the way. I'm not talking from theory. And that's what it takes. One individual spreads a few lies, a little bit of slandering of a certain individual. That's it. 50% of the community don't even look at this individual. And you are with Korach. And the ground opens and you go down with Korach. Why? Because you believe the liar. You don't believe the truth. Why? Because you're out of the cloud. You don't see the emet. So the Megillah will reveal what is concealed. Next we have to do is Mishloach Manot. Mishloach Manot and Matanot Levyonim. Mishloach Manot is gifts to each other. Matanot Levyonim. I'm not going to now explain the halacha, what you need to do, but very briefly you have to give at least 2 Mishlochei Manot to different people. It has to have food that you can eat. Not, people give today sometimes Coca-Cola and all this. It's not Mishloach Manot. It has to be food. And all this, sometimes now people give candy. That's a question already in halacha if it can be in Mishloach Manot. It's candy. It's not really food. It has to be food. Same thing with Matanot Le'Evyonim, the presents to the poor. So they evaluate today in our currency, in our day, that it's about 25 shekels. This is what's Matanot Le'Evyonim, or more to be exact, is what a meal can cost an individual. 25 shekels, 30 shekels. You have to give it to at least 2 people. But nevertheless, what's interesting here, that the halacha says, in Purim, whoever pulls his hand out, you have to give him. The significance of it is that we have the opportunity to do the same thing to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu tells us, whoever puts out a hand, you have to give him. Then you do the same thing with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You put your hand out. You start praying to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Whatever you want, the Kadosh Baruch Hu can give it to you. If you do what you need to do on Purim, Kadosh Baruch Hu will give you anything. Open miracles you can see if you just do it right. Now again, I'm not going to now elaborate on every little halacha what we need to do. We need to listen to the Megillah twice. We need to give the Mishlochei Manot, Matanot Levyonim, the festive meal, and so forth. But what's important to know while we're doing all that, because you need to do everything, first of all, the rule is everything has to be done b'simcha. Everything has to be done with joy. The right way of celebrating Purim. But what's most important is, because I said that you can put your hand out to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and whatever you ask, that's what the Kadosh Baruch Hu will do. There's a place in the Mishnah, in Tractate Sotah, can be found exactly in page, in Mishnah, the first chapter of Mishnah 7, where it says, K'mo she'adam moded kacha modedim lo. The same measure that you give out, that's how they measure for you. Now, it comes across in many different ways. I explained that a few times, especially on Elul, if you remember, we talked about it. Is first of all, is how much I give, that's how I will get back. But also, if I forgive to a person that did something bad to me, then I will get forgiveness in the exact same measure. Midah is a measurement. If I'm easygoing and I can let go of something, then the same way, they will let go for me. If I'm very merciful on another person, then they'll be merciful on me. If I forgive, I will be forgiven, and so forth. So I have to understand the opportunity, what I can do in Purim. But what's amazing here, just so we can summarize this all happens Now we're starting a new parasha this week, Parashat Ki Tisa. If you read the beginning of this parasha, it's unbelievable. First of all, what's amazing here is that what's happening, because we're talking about this corona, what happens to a person that maybe is exposed? They put him in quarantine for 2 weeks. You know what happens to a person who speaks Lashon Hara? They throw him out of the camp for a whole week, sit outside in quarantine. Think of your actions. If you remember when Miriam talked Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu, the whole nation had to wait a whole week. She had to sit outside in isolation, and then she could come back to the camp. Just look at I don't want to say the word ironic, but just see, hopefully that will open some people's minds, is that, our main problem is this little hole here in the front of the mouth. That's our main problem. But nevertheless, here's a few good advice that the parasha is giving us. In Parashat Ki Tisa, open it this week and start reading. In today's reading, it says something very interesting. This is in chapter 12. And in verse 12, in the beginning of the parasha, it says, "V'natnu ish kofer nafsho." Let each one give to the Lord an atonement for his soul. This is machatzit shekel. So today, tomorrow, you can give machatzit shekel, and you have to have in mind that you're giving an atonement for your soul. Machatzit shekel, okay, it's also valued around. Some people give the actual half a shekel. In our currency, it's also about 23, 24, 22 shekels, goes by the weight of silver. But you have to give it. Any person that is above bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah should give it. And some say even babies, whatever, you have people in your house, you have a few kids, you want to give machatzit shekel from that. And this is in this week's parasha, one thing that we need to do. And what is this? An atonement for his soul. Next, it says something very interesting. After that, it says, "V'lo yeh b'hem negef." Right after that, it says, "Then there will be no plague." So look what our sages are telling us and what the Holy Torah is telling us. Give machatzit shekel, there will be no plague. And I'm not inventing it. Go to this week's parasha, Ki Tisa, right in the beginning, the first reading of today. It says there will be no plague. After that, what does it say to Aaron HaKohen? To go and do incense, ketoret. What's interesting here, one of the parts of the incense is called chelbonah. And the numerical value of chelbonah is 95, like Haman. So we say twice a day the pitum aktoret, in shacharit and in mincha. So that comes to strengthen you. If you don't do it, then start praying. Say pitum aktoret in the morning and say pitum aktoret in the afternoon. A lot of people run to mincha, they start right away ashrei. Say korbanot. This has the power to uproot any type of plague. So just from this parasha, just read the first beginning of the parasha of this week. We have 4 mitzvot that a person can focus on. One of them is observing Shabbat. The second one is pitum aktoret, that we say twice a day in shacharit and mincha. The third one is machatzit shekel. You can do it today and tomorrow. And the fourth one, you can do machatzit shekel, by the way, also during Purim, but best to do it before. And the fourth one is to start praying, and for men to pray in a minyan. These are 4 advice that we have from the Torah, what to do to be saved. What is very interestingly is, I'm going to ask you a tricky question. How many prayers do we have a day? 4? 4 prayers. What are you? Anybody else? Don't be shy. 5. Okay, we have 5 prayers. The 5 prayers are shacharit and the repetition, mincha and the repetition, and arvit. These are the 5 prayers. I know some people were thinking maybe Birkat Hamazon, Kriyat Shema Lamita, but really when you're looking at prayers, then we have 5 times that we hear the repetition. Sorry, 3 times that we pray, twice we hear the repetition, making it 5 times that we hear or prayer that Tfilat Shmona Esrei. It's called Shmona Esrei, but even though there's 19 prayers, there's not 18 prayers. 19 times 5, how much is that? Mathematicians? 95. It's 95. 95 times that we hear blessings or pray blessings in Tfilat Shmona Esrei. When we say Ashrei Yoshvei Vetecha, what do we say? Ashrei Yoshvei Vetecha, happy are the ones who are dwelling in your place, in your house. Od Yehalelucha Sela. Sela is the numerical value of 95. 95, when you pray 3 times a day and you hear the repetition twice, you're with a minyan, then you have the chazakah of this Yehalelucha Sela, Birchatecha Sela. Your bracha, your blessing from the Kadosh Baruch Hu is strong and firm. So just to conclude what we need to do, first of all from the parasha today, and you should read it, so you can read it, see it with your own eyes. Seeing is believing. Make sure that your Shabbat observance is to the fullest, the perfect Shabbat. I think there was a great tzaddik recently that came out and said for women to observe Shabbat 10 minutes before the time and for men to pray with minyanim. Somebody sent me that quote. So you have to make sure that your Shabbat observance is to the best. Second of all, every day Pitum Aktoret. Even women should read Pitum Aktoret. It takes exactly 5 minutes. Some people even have this pamphlets already ready. I'll explain to you later exactly where and how you find it, but in any prayer book, before Shacharit and before Mincha, there's the part that is called Korbanot. It's a part of it. It's called Pitum Aktoret, how they used to do the incense. Read that twice a day. The second thing, tomorrow you can do Machatzit shekel. Have in mind that this is an atonement for your sins, for your soul. And don't be cheap. You give with Ayin Yafa. And of course, for the men, which is important for women to pray, but for the men to pray in a minyan. This is coming from the parasha. What I was saying before, and this is really what we need to conclude here, is that Mashiach is literally, not even in the doorstep. He already stepped in. It can be moments before Mashiach is coming. Moments. It can be seconds, can be days, chas v'shalom, maybe a few more months. But you have to be completely ignorant not to notice that Mashiach is around here already. Now, this is the time to be sleeping, Raya? Is this the time where you can be caught sleeping? You can't. I know here it puts a few people to sleep here tonight. But you can't be caught sleeping right now. Why? Because if we are ejected from the cloud, we are subject to the attack of Amalek. There is no time now. Now is the time we have to pick yourself up and say, enough is enough. Now I'm giving the most that I can. Now is no time to sleep. Now is no time to round corners. Now is no time to say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. Because Mashiach can come any second. When Mashiach comes, that's it. Now, I know a lot of people don't like hearing it, but the reality is that Midat Hadin, the attribute of judgment, is so thin right now. Right now in Shamayim, they are debating how, not when or if or who, how the redemption will come. Is it going to come b'chesed v'rachamim? That's going to just come quietly, and suddenly you're going to hear the soothing sounds of the shofarot. Oh my gosh. Just the other day, my wife and me were imagining. She was like, what's going to happen? I said, do you know how amazing it's going to be? The sky is going to be so bright. It's going to be like, wow. The eyes, you wouldn't be able to take your eyes off it. The air, what's going on? We're going to get full of ecstasy and excitement. I'm not joking with you. It's going to come in such a way, either you're going to be part of it, or you're going to be like, hey, I wasn't ready. Now this is if it's coming very smooth and nice and care, and that's how we want it to happen. If chas v'shalom, it's not, Hashem Yerachem, what this little virus can do to this entire planet. This can lead to a disaster. It can lead to an Armageddon that you can't even think of the scale of what can happen. Already countries are blaming each other for doing biological experiments. Iran is already saying, no, it's our enemies trying biological warfare on us. This can lead to a disaster. Hashem is now telling us, the choice is in your hands. You can have a Purim miracle, or you can chas v'shalom have a disaster. And we're exactly the same thing. Haman and Achashvarosh, they had to reach to 127 countries. Their plan was to kill all the Jews in one shot. Even the German Imach Shimo couldn't even fathom of such a operation. Can you imagine with the operation, in one day we killed them all? And look at that, and in 1 second, all it took is a little bit of unity, a little bit of patience, stop being judgmental, don't be so talking all day long, and everybody's guilty in that. Don't look at me like, why are you looking at me? I don't saying anything. We're all guilty in that. And if you're not guilty in talking, then you are extremely guilty in listening. And if you, in any type of way, trying to say I'm wrong, then I'm sorry to tell you, you are so ejected from the cloud that Amalek has so much doubt in you that you see it in front of your face and you're saying, no, it's not me. And I'm talking just from experience, not from theories. And again, there's a minority that they're talking a lot, but the majority are listening. And if you don't go against, and if you don't stop or say, I don't want to hear anything, it's not true, sorry to tell you, you're just as guilty. Take all the hints that this corona is giving us, and it's pointing to one thing. People that are infected or close to infected, they're in quarantine. Same thing, Lashon Hara, go out of the camp. Go and clean yourself. Everybody's walking with masks. Hashem is telling us, in other words, just zip it. You want to do something beneficial? Don't talk. Do a Tani Dibur. You can't fast for 3 days? Don't talk for 3 days. Don't talk for 3 days. You can't go wrong with that. This is the main problem that we have. Is the achdut, is the unities that we don't have, and the problems that we do with our mouth, with slandering, lying, lashon hara, cheating, cursing, false language. Ooh, what this little hole in the front of our face does. Now you have to make quickly cheshbon nefesh, very, very quick, because the redemption can happen tonight. You have to make a very quick switch in your mind, jump on the wagon of I was about to say Yom Kippur, but Kepurim, greater, of Purim, do tshuva, say Hashem, chatati, aviti, pashati, I will not do it ever again. I'm taking myself not to do these sins anymore. And that's it, don't worry, Hashem will right away put you into the cloud. Once you're in the cloud, you are 100% protected from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You're not going to worry about not a corona, not shmarona, not anything. If you worry about it from any type of a way, you see you have a doubt in your emunah. If you're panicking in any type of a way, what's going to happen? Sorry to tell you, zero emunah. Why you don't believe in the Kadosh Baruch Hu? Kadosh Baruch Hu will decide exactly who gets affected, who gets infected, and who's not. So the most important thing you have to take from tonight is this switch in your mind is not to be afraid of a virus, not to be afraid of our enemies around us. They're powerless. Iran is now powerless. Their leaders are in hospitals. They have locusts there. They have corona over there, 10 times worse than what they say. They're busy. Hashem made them busy right now. Exactly what He did to the Egyptians. You go and worry about your problems. I will keep the Egyptians busy. And that's exactly what He's doing. If you think we have a problem with any other of our enemies, Iran is the problem. That's the Haman of our generation. It says clearly in Tractate Sanhedrin, page 87, when it's talking about the Haman of our generation. I already thought about it a few times, where it says Rabbi Yehuda, and they were talking there, and he says when Mashiach comes, Yatev elo achminei. I don't want to see how it's going to look when Mashiach comes. When he says Yatev elo achminei, achminei is the letters of Chaminei. That's it, Khamenei, that's the leader of Iran. That's the Haman of the generation. He's the one who's cooking what's going on here. Don't think that Korea and China, they're all together there. So the point is that we have nothing to worry about. We have nothing to fear, just ourselves. We are the problem. Bring everybody now to unity. That's it, we win. So it starts with how I talk about other people. Then it goes to how I look at other people and judge them. Judge them favorably, don't judge. How many times people came and tell you, you know that person, blah, 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 blah. Right away, you tend to believe right away the Lashon Hara that you hear. Why don't you judge the person favorably? Maybe go and do a check. Maybe the person is completely innocent. Why are you right away slandering that person? In so many different ways. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu is putting the writing on the wall in the most obvious way. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is telling us, in other words, I have the control. Li ha-mamlacha. I control whatever I want. If I will flick my fingers, 2 billion people are going to die from this virus. And I will decide who will die, when, and how. And people will walk into China. You know, I saw a video of the Chabad, the Lubavitch rabbi there in Beijing. You think he's afraid? I saw a video of them lighting candles on Shabbat. They're not afraid. Why would they be afraid? They have the Kadosh Baruch Hu. They're in China. How many people vacated and evacuated China? Embassies. He's sitting there, I'm here. I need to be afraid of a virus? I have the Kadosh Baruch Hu. What we need to be afraid of is ourselves, how I judge other people. And that's why I told you before what the Tractate of Sotah says, the way you judge, that's how you're going to be judged. Don't think that something that you're putting yourself out of the rule. If I judge another person, that's how I'm going to be judged, whether from Shamayim or whether from other people. So I spoke one word too much. I hope that a little bit of the words resonate into our limited mind that is now affected by the poison of Amalek. And we all are affected from that. Very few people are completely in the cloud. And not only that they have 100% emunah in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, they have zero judgment, hate, anger, animosity, anything towards anybody else. Somebody slanders them, okay, it's fine. It's fine, I need to be humiliated. Somebody goes against them, it's fine, Hashem wants me to go through this test right now. How many times did I quoted the story with David HaMelech? When he was walking on the path as a king to Jerusalem, comes a certain individual, what's his name? Shimei ben Gera. Shimei ben Gera comes with his mob and they start stoning David HaMelech, cursing him. The chief of staff, Yoav ben Tzroya, pulls out his sword and is about to kill him. David HaMelech stops him. Well, what are you doing? He's like, well, he curses the king. Judgment, you have to kill him. David HaMelech tells him, Hashem amar lo kalel. Hashem told him to curse. This is the level of David HaMelech. I said before with Moshe Rabbeinu and Korach. Technically, Moshe Rabbeinu could have executed Korach on the spot. This is going against the king. You coming and talking bad against the king? Moshe Rabbeinu in 1 second could execute Korach. What does the Torah says? Vayipol al panav vayevk. He fell on his face and he cried. You know what it really means? Panav is his face, but panav can also be his pnimiyut. He fell down to look at his pnimiyut and he started crying. Must be that I have some little speck of dirt that Hashem is throwing at me such accusations. He saw the defect in himself. I need to do tshuva, says Moshe Rabbeinu. Maybe this guy is right. Something is wrong with me. So he did tshuva, vayevk, and he cried. That's the right way. Somebody goes against you, right away. Shem Erchem. Somebody says something against us. So we need to learn from all that we have to completely transform everything. V'nafocho. We cannot be judgmental towards others. We can't be so harsh on others. We can't have any feelings of jealousy, hate, animosity, whatever it is. This is a proof that I'm 100% in the hands of Amalek. If I can be jealous of another person, it means I don't believe in Hashem. Why did Hashem give it to him and not to me? Then I don't believe in Hashem. If I speak Lashon Hara about a person or I slander another person and at the same time I observe Shabbat, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself. How can you observe Shabbat, run like a chicken without a head 2 minutes before Shabbat to make sure everything is perfect for Shabbat, and then 2 minutes later in the shul talk bad about another person? You know what judgments it brings on our nation? And then worse than that, people go and slander and lie and say Lashon Hara, big rabbis in our generation. Hashem Yerachem, what judgment it does on our nation. We can't even fathom what it does to us in Shamayim. The attributes of judgment right now, Midat Adin, is stretched. We are literally in the mercy of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And the only way how we can switch it is if we do 100% unbelievable tshuva. That we take on ourselves, that's it, enough is enough. Mashiach can come any second. If I would come in any type of a way to prove to you that Mashiach comes in any second, wouldn't you do the best you can? Wouldn't you wake up tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the morning to be the first one in the shul? Wouldn't you read Tehillim all day long? Wouldn't you close your mouth for any opportunity you had to lie or slander? Of course you would. So I'm coming and telling you that Mashiach is coming any second. Now you have to give it your best. This is the last push. And I know a lot of people say, yeah, but what if you're wrong? I mean, you've been talking about Mashiach for so many years. What if it doesn't happen? But you didn't lose anything. You did tshuva. And if Chas v'Shalom Mashiach should be delayed another month, another 2 months, are you going to lose from doing tshuva? Are you going to lose from behaving the right way? You're not going to lose. Le'efech. You elevate yourself to a higher level. You have to be completely ignorant to live in this era and not believe that any second Mashiach can come. I don't know how long it will be delayed. And if it's delayed, it's only for our benefit. Hashem is telling you, I'll give you another day to do tshuva. I'll give you another day to do tshuva. Because if you not do tshuva today and it comes, I don't know how many people will be able to duck from their how it's going to come. So we have the power to sweeten the judgment like Haman and Hester and bring the redemption. You can't even imagine what's going to happen when Mashiach comes. You can't even imagine the beauty, the air, the smell, the fragrance, the colors. I mean, we're going to go crazy from seeing it. I can't fathom. I'm sitting in my house looking at the Mount of Meron, and I can't even fathom. I can't believe Mashiach can be here any second. We've been waiting for 3,400 years. We're going to see it. My prayers to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, I want to see it. I want to see it. I hope I don't have like a little sin. I hope the 4 months of suffering right now cleaned all the junk that I had for the last 40 years, that I can just see this revelation. We don't understand. People don't understand what it means to miss this. Can you imagine missing the revelation? I can't fathom that. Now it's the time that we have to grab ourselves. That's it. We have to do serious tshuva right now. How can I apply everything that I just said tonight? Practical. Our sages say, "Ha'maaseh hu ha'ikar." The action is what counts. Now you have to go home and say, what can I do it in action? How can I can bring all these beautiful theories into action? And the first thing you need to do is you need to jump into the cloud. You have to be protected from the Kadosh Baruch Hu, 100%, which means you have to be 100% emet. That's the only way of jumping into the cloud, is connecting myself only to emet. Because if I'm not, then I'm connected to sheker, to truth, to a lie, to deception. And you pray to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, show me the way how to do tshuva, show me who not to associate with, show me who not to listen to, show me what I need to do. Don't worry, the Kadosh Baruch Hu will give you a lot of push. He wants everybody to do tshuva. And the most important is don't even to, for 1 second, to have a doubt in the master of the universe. I need to be afraid of a virus. I need to be afraid of some nutcase in Iran. People tell me, you're not afraid of... Afraid? Of what? I would be the biggest liar ever if I would tell you I'm afraid. Afraid of what? Mordechai told Esther, you go into the king. I'm afraid. He told her, you're afraid of what? Hashem put you here. Now you go in. For this is what you were brought here. So we have to take advantage of this powerful, powerful day tomorrow. Don't miss the opportunity. And if chas v'shalom happens to be that you missed it, or you weren't the best on Purim, don't worry. Day after Purim, continue doing. Each and every one of us has to do what I just told you today. We can't affect thousands of people. And a lot of people say, why should I change? Everybody else is still not changing. Well, if you change, you will inspire other people to change. Can you imagine how you will inspire another person comes and tells you, you know what I heard about so-and-so? I don't want to hear. I do not want to hear. That should be your reaction. Somebody comes and tells you, you know what I heard about so-and-so? I don't want to hear. That's it. The other day, my wife came and told me something. I told her, is that concerning me in any type of a way? No. Can I assist in any type of a way? No. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear what so-and-so said to so-and-so. It's none of my business. I don't want to hear, because if I just put my ear, then I will hear things that I don't need to hear. Now, if it has to do with me, if I can be of an assistance, okay, let me hear the minimum that I need to hear. Other than that, I don't want to hear it. Not interested. Don't fall into the trap. So the thing is that each and every one of us has to do their own change. You have to really go home now. I'm not joking. We're finishing early on purpose. Go home now and you sit with yourself for an hour. I know it's not early. Make yourself notes. Make yourself notes. Listen, I tried to do it as short as possible. You write yourself down notes and you apply it. How can I become a much better individual? How can I do tshuva? Where is my holes? Where's the loopholes that Amalek is grabbing me? What am I not doing? So I have a beautiful yarmulke. Big deal. Where am I failing? And I'm telling you that the biggest problem that we have is the unity and the mouth. That's the biggest problems we have. We have kindness, we have Torah. You know how much Torah we have in our generation? Never in the history of the nation of the Jews there was so much Torah. Go now to YouTube. Millions of hours of Torah. Every rabbi now has channels, videos all over the place. I've never seen anything like it. We have a lot of Torah. Yeshivot from north to south. How much Torah has been learned? Charity organization. I got in the last 2 weeks for Purim maybe 1,500 emails from all the charity organizations. Baruch Hashem, we have a lot of charity. But we're missing the unity and we're missing the sinat chinam. This is our problem. And the sinat chinam is, that's why the temple was destroyed. Bet HaMikdash was only destroyed because of sinat chinam. The first temple was destroyed of idolatry, idol worship, forbidden relations, and bloodshed. I explained that so many times, because the sin was revealed, the length of the exile was revealed. They left Yerushalayim. Now for the story of Purim, the prophet told them, you're going to be back in 70 years. End the story. 67 years later, the story of Purim. 3 years later, they're back in the building the second temple. The second temple was destroyed from sinat chinam. Since the sin is not revealed, then the length of the exile is not revealed. End the story. And look in the Talmud what it says. Our sages in the Talmud say Sinat Chinam equals Lashon Hara. We talked about it in the summer. Hak Lashon Hara. That's our problem. So Hashem says, put a mask on your face. Put yourself in quarantine. Don't talk. And do tshuva. That's it. Isolate yourself and do tshuva for all the things that you need to do. Hashem will forgive you. And then you go do tshuva to the people you hurt, and Bezrat Hashem, they will forgive you. You need to know that you need to forgive others. Like we say every day in Kirat Shema Lamita, Hareni mochel lechol mi shechi'is oti. I hereby forgive every person that angered me. Ben begufi, ben b'mamoni, with my body, my money, whatever it is. You have to do it real. Can't say, Hareni mochel, but that individual, I don't want to forgive him. It has to be 100% forgiving. I know it's hard to forgive some people, but forgive to be forgiven. So we have an unbelievable opportunity. Mashiach is coming. Don't miss the train. You know, I was debating if to come out and talk or not, but my wife told me, how can you hold information and not to come and tell it? You're going to be caught liable for not talking. I don't care if your back hurts you. I don't care if your lungs hurt you. I don't care if your mouth hurts you. I don't care. You have to talk. I mean, I look now with a little bit of energy. Give me 5 minutes, I go home, I will collapse. But that's not the point. Now I'm joking. The point is that it needs to be heard. More than it needs to be heard, it needs to be applied. Don't miss the opportunity. Ignore even now Purim. Any day. We have to focus on what we need to do as a nation. We have to spread the love of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We have to spread the Torah. We have to apply that. And any situation that you see, any type of separation, or Lashon Hara, red flags have to, beaming lights have to go in your mind. No, get away from that. And you have to explain to the person, I don't want to hear what you have to say. You don't have to say. You shouldn't say what you're about to say. Let's both of us not say Lashon Hara. I don't care about so and so. If it's something important, I will do my own research. And Bezrat Hashem, Be'emet Hashem should bless us all that we should see this revelation with our own eyes. Don't be afraid wherever you are. I mean, we are safe here in Israel. I feel so bad for the ones who are not in Israel. I said that for the last 6-7 years. Come to Israel. Come now to Israel. So let's hope the redemption is going to come nice and smooth. Let's pray that Hashem will bring this unity, this love, this achdut, bring the Geulah, the redemption in the most nicest way. We have to pray, and tomorrow I told you, Kol haposhet yad tzich latet lo. We have to now put our hands out to the Kadosh Baruch Hu and pray that He will forgive everybody, even the ones that we can't stand them now with the election. I know there's a few people you cannot stand from what they were saying. Hashem should forgive them too. Hashem should forgive everybody. The redemption should come b'chesed v'rachamim. We should be part of it, and we should be a big part of it. You have to think in your mind 24/7 two things. What am I doing to hasten the redemption? And what am I preventing myself from doing to delay the redemption? This is the two things that you need to think of every second of the day. What can I do to hasten the Geulah? And what can I prevent myself from delaying the Geulah? And the Amalek is going to come to you and whisper to you smooth words of whatever it is to just, what? What did he say? What did he do? Don't believe Amalek. This is the doubt. Believe only in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Bezrat Hashem, we have 100% emunah in Hashem. Hashem will bless us all to be part of the redemption, to be part of this amazing revelation we're about to see. The entire Am Yisrael should be redeemed. B'chesed v'rachamim. The entire world should be blessed with the kindness of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Not only our nation, all the rest of the nation. Nobody should suffer besides the wicked people. Hashem knows who's wicked, who's not. The redemption should come smoothly and in a nice way, and where we all merit to see with our own eyes the coming of Mashiach. And I'm going to wish you already a happy Purim. For tomorrow, an easy fast. Fast should go fast. A happy and productive Purim. And Bezrat Hashem, we'll see you very soon in Bet HaMikdash.